good morning, everybody. It is July 14th, Sunday, July 14th, 2024, and we are out raking hay. Dave is behind me, baling. It's about 11:30, got started about an hour ago. It is going to be another hot day today, so it is, the hay dried up pretty good yesterday. You know, obviously start from the outside, work your way in to where you last finished, cutting. And so right now it ain't going so bad because outside's more dry, and so by the time you work your way in, that sun will be up plenty high in the sky and it'll be plenty warm. So this will dry down in no time. Looks like we might get a little bit of hay, which is good. Had quite a bit left over from last year. Not quite a bit, but enough left over, a couple hundred bales. So spit out a couple hundred more this year, and that's that. So anyway, but just kind of going and making our rounds. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. Yeah, I think we ended up cutting for, I think combined probably 12 hours, 12, 13 hours yesterday, so it worked out pretty good. So this should keep us busy for a little while anyway, and then we can focus on the other sections, and I guarantee you we'll probably start cutting again later this afternoon, because it looks like it's supposed to be dry tomorrow and maybe Tuesday. I know there's some rain, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, so who knows, we'll see. But time will tell, I guess. But until then, we're just gonna focus and get all this cleaned up and looking good. Get over here towards the east fence line. A little bit lighter, not as much material, but when you get down those sides, it's not too bad, not too shabby. Not too bumpy yet, but I know there's some bumps coming. Don't worry, someone's gonna find them. It'll be me. Got the neighbor's cows over here to the east of me. Good looking group. I bet they're wanting some shade today. It's probably a little hot. Over the hill we go. Cool. Boy, that's satisfying watching that work. Satisfying. Let's see here. Come on. There we go. There they are. Good looking group. Big group too. Nice pasture. Nice pasture. Yep. Cleaning it up. Rock on. Looks like it's bumpy right there. Gosh, dang it. Turn around and drop it down. Ash, dang it. So the reason I'm raking it pass and a half is because we have a lot of rocks up here. Rocks that can move and rocks that are not going to move unless you get an excavator and dig them out. And we don't want to, you don't want to put a swath over the baler, because that's just a bad day waiting to happen. So to help prevent that, you know, sometimes you know where they're at because the mower, you know, will bump into it or will raise the mower and there'll be an uncut spot there that you're like, oh hey, there's probably a rock or something there to not hit and to not put a windrow on. But then there's the rocks that that can be moved, and you still don't want to put it on that. So this is just kind of like our safety net of, well, we'll move the windrow out of the way into a spot where we can see, you know, going down the center that, hey, there for sure won't be nothing here. So, you know, I'm sure some people will be like, well, that seems like a waste of time and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, it is what it is. It helps save a major repair bill, so we're just gonna keep doing it. All right, got that. Find our swath here where we were. Got Dave coming up here. We're going to pass him here in a moment. And you guys are gonna get to see a bale drop, hopefully, if he waits. It's poking fun. There it goes. Boink. Cool. Alright, I better kick my oh, the bale's chasing him. That right there that I just raked, that little section should keep him busy to let me get around another pass. Get another, because that I will say, he can catch up a lot. He can catch up to me pretty quick, because he's, for every 2 passes that I go, he goes 1, so. Pretty good. Clean up those corners. That'll work, donkey. That'll work. Trying to thin up here, it's hard to see where the hell the damn windrow is. Or where I cut. There it is right there. I got it. No problem. Nema problema. this week's top country song or whatever was Post Malone and Morgan Wallen's I Had Some Help. I guess, I think Ronnie said it was like the third week in a row or something, so I guess good for them boys. I remember last year that damn Luke Combs in his fast car, man, that was the song of the year, or of the summer anyway, it seemed like. I think it went for like 8 straight weeks at #1. But anyway. I had a lot of fun with this drone, as you can tell. I decided to purchase this going into summer, and I'm very glad I did because this has offered me a whole other incredible way to be able to not only record these videos, but just to look back and observe the scenery. I absolutely love these shots that I've been able to find. Now, I understand I'm not the best at flying, and then that'll come with time, but really, I just to see the views in a different perspective, I just love it. And so that's why there's so much drone footage um, in this particular video. I understand as I've said before, my style of videos aren't for everybody, and I appreciate when you do watch, so thank you. But you know what? Hopefully you find these views as enjoyable as I do because they're just incredible. Everybody's got a different perspective, and I'm very grateful that I get the opportunity to be able to view and be a part of something as beautiful as this up here. So here, Dave and I, we've been, as I've mentioned there somewhere in this video, I'm sure we're just getting this all raked. This was on a Sunday, and here I'm getting this video out almost a year later now. As I'm editing and all this, it's been plenty long, and we're going to be getting ready to get hay started again here in the next coming weeks as July comes around. So figured I've had this one ready in the queue to get out. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. I enjoy putting these out, and any comments that anybody leaves, or just hearing what you guys think of the beautiful views and the work that we get to do up there. This particular piece that we're raking and baling in right here, it is very, how do I say, oh, yeah, that's the term, rocky. It, as we go on what would be the east side or the top side of this hill, there's just a lot of very loose, almost shaly type rock. They're very thin. They're not very thin, but they're thinner, and they're just big like slabs of rock. And it was very difficult. You had to go very slow as you were raking across that, because not only was the material was a little looser, but I mean you just had there were so many of those types of rocks, but also rocks that were sticking out of the ground that you had to be careful that you didn't drive over it so it didn't like throw you out of the seat or into the windshield. But so these are just kind of some of the challenges that we deal with on when we're baling and mowing and haying some of these pastures like this. I understand it's not ideal hay ground, but it's what we have to hay, and it helps, like I've mentioned before, keep pastures clean. And there was definitely some little hedge trees that were trying to come up in these pastures, or in these particular patches as we were cutting them this year. And so it was good to get that all cleaned up. But as we got towards the bottom of this hillside here, the material is a little heavier, and it raked up a lot nicer as there wasn't as many rocks to worry about. But that's just the cookie we're dealt with, and that's what we're going to roll with.